HS tapes are found by a mysterious person, and each one is revealed to be more disturbing than the last. A content that is really interesting. This story begins with a message of a Redditor who swore by his mother that he had bought some VHS tapes that seemed to be really uncommon. The guy took it upon himself to digitize them and send them to a guy named Jay Cheel, who is in charge of making the documentary that will put together all the VHS tapes, in which we are about to see. The first of them is called Stork. In it, we are going to meet a group of people who form a special team that they themselves have called Warden. Although they all wear body cams on their chests, the main camera and the one we will be following is the one that a rookie carries with him, a guy named Segura. It turns out that this group was following the case of a disappearance of 17 babies, all of them in a span of 3 months, and for some reason it is believed that they are all related. Fortunately, the leader of the group has received from an informant a quite revealing piece of information, and it is that apparently a strange guy was seen with a baby in a house far from the city. So now the main task is to go to that house and check if this information is relevant. So the group gets armed to the teeth and proceed to embark on their adventure, being this the moment when we learn that the baby of a member of the group called E.T. was also among these cases. So for him, this matter is something personal. After a couple of traveling hours, the group arrives at the house, finding a guy that is taking guard outside while carrying a chainsaw, which informs us that they are not very friendly. Despite this, the team slowly descends, and as soon as they set foot on the site, after a few minutes of battle, the team finds a hole in the roof of the house, as well as a kind of meteor with an opening in the middle, which indicates that something came from there. Continuing with the investigation, the team finds a staircase leading to the attic of the place, but being blocked, they are forced to go down to retrieve the chainsaw. Learning there that these creatures can reanimate, and after another hard and short battle, the team manages to make their way to the stairs, this being the moment of revelation because in this part they come across dozens of cribs with the supposed missing babies that do not have the appearance they should have. And the worst of the case comes when walking to the bottom of the site. They find this monster with the appearance of a bird. Without thinking it twice, they proceed to finish him, and although E.T. loses his life because of this battle and Segura is badly injured, the Warden team achieves its mission, giving us this beautiful postcard. Basically, this bird-shaped creature is a twisted version of the stork story. You know, it is where a bird is in charge of bringing babies to the families. But here the thing came from space, kidnapped the little ones to turn them into its servants, and continued the cycle over and over again. The next film is called Dream Girl. In it, we meet 2 paparazzi reporters who are sent to a film set where a world-class artist named Tara was shooting her new music video. Before filming what they were interested in, one of them has the idea of sneaking into the music video shoot to get the exclusive, and although you would think they were only going to show you part of it, they literally show you the whole video having a song that is pretty catchy. The interesting part comes when in the final moment of the video, Tara seems to get bugged and keeps repeating the last dance step non-stop, which makes her manager so angry that she interrupts the recording. Before Tara leaves the set, one of the paparazzi takes the opportunity to sneak into her trailer and tries to place a hidden camera, but to his bad luck at that moment, both Tara and her manager enter the place, causing the paparazzi to have to hide in a closet. The scare would come when after the guys see how the manager scolds the artist, he puts his hands in a kind of gel that he does not recognize, and when trying to light up a little to find out what was happening, the man realizes that a kind of face was submerged in the liquid. By reflex action, he ends up leaving the closet, getting face to face with the girl. Seeing himself discovered, the boy tries to leave, but seeing that the girl was too sad, he asks her if she was okay, advising her that she should fire her manager since she is the important one there. She is the person that everyone would like to be. She is almost a goddess. At that moment, Tara appears to react, although not for good, because after she realizes that everything the guy said was real, she says, "You're right, I don't want to wear the mask of a slave anymore. Now I want to wear your face and be a normal person." The paparazzi leaves the place at full speed while being chased by Tara, who reveals to be a kind of android that was programmed to be an artist. But due to the boy's words, she has now decided to reveal herself, thus starting a massacre. In the end, Tara manages to get hold of the paparazzi's face, going out into the street where other reporters were waiting for her, only to continue with her party, and the tape is cut. The next tape is called Live and Let Dive, which actually refers to skydiving. In it, we are going to meet a group of friends who were celebrating the birthday of one of them named Zach. And what better way to do it than jumping out of a plane by parachute to risk your life? The guys are passing the camera to each other, recognizing that Zach is very brave to try to do this, since he's terrified of heights. And if you think about it, it does take a lot of guts to do this. The pilot warns them that in 3 minutes they will be high enough to jump, so they should get ready to hook everything that needs to be hooked and get rid of all fear because the good stuff is coming. The interesting thing about this is that, with 1 minute to go before the jump, the pilot informs them that something very interesting is happening to its right. Nothing more and nothing less than the presence of a UFO right under their noses. This terrifies the group, but they are even more terrified when several military jets begin to hover in the airspace of their plane, starting turbulence that appears to be dangerous. And things get even worse when this happens. The plane impacts directly against the UFO, causing it to explode in the air, and all the boys begin to fall aimlessly, some being fortunate enough to open their parachutes, others falling without a limb due to the impact, and others being caught in midair by aliens. Fortunately, Zach manages to open his parachute just before hitting the ground. The guy manages to wake up just before seeing how some of his friends fallen at the same time. He realizes that the instructor who came with him has lost his head because of the parachute. Although Zach manages to reunite with 3 of his friends, this is not going to be the case for long, as the crew members of the UFO seen before begin to hunt them down one by one. They use quite creative ways to finish them off, and Zach is the last to fall, managing to get on the car of one of the farmers, asking him to please get him out of there as there are monsters hunting him down. As expected, the man does not believe him, and because of that he gets destroyed, and although these things get close enough to kill Jack, they do not do it because they have prepared something else for him. The boy is abducted and the vehicle gets taken to the ship, thus sealing his fate. And the tape is cut. The next film is called Fur Babies. In it, we are going to meet a woman who has a dog care business where she supposedly trains, takes care of them, bathes them, and all that. However, for a group of people who are dedicated to monitor animal abuse, this is not true. In one of the promotions of the woman, you can see that she dissects her deceased dogs, so they have suspicions that the practices of this lady are not very good at all. For this reason, 2 members of this group are sent to collect information from the lady, and as soon as they arrive, they find out a couple of sinister things. The first thing that they learn is that this woman keeps 3 of her favorite pets stuffed as tribute, but the worst thing is not that, but reveals that she has had dozens and dozens of dogs, only that most of them were buried in the back of the house. After this, we realize that the woman has a brother who suffers from his mental faculties, all this after having a mysterious accident, which is never revealed and is of no importance to know. What is relevant is when the woman proceeds to show them the part where she trains the dogs, which turns out to be a scarier place than you might think, since there the woman has the instruments with which she performs the dissections, and the worst comes when the owner moves a curtain and reveals that she has a person trapped in there. Proceeding to do the same to the 2 boys, leaving them unconscious, the woman turns on her camera telling that her brother has managed to exhume the remains of 3 of his previous dogs. And what is she doing this for? You may be wondering. Nothing more and nothing less than to recover the parts of these dogs and implant them to the people she has captured, in a scene as unreal as it is uncomfortable to watch. After trying to locate their friends for several days, the rest of the animal protection team decided to go themselves to see what had happened, breaking down the door of the place. Due to their friends' screams, they go straight down to the basement, where the woman proceeds to introduce them to 2 of her aberrations. These people who now act like dogs finish them all off, and to put the cherry on the cake, they even finish off a guy who had come to take some packages. This being the sickest tape in my opinion, and the recording is cut short. The next tape is called Stowaway. In it, we meet a girl obsessed with the UFO theme, who travels to the Mojave Desert with the intention of recording something that counts as evidence, a feeling fueled by the recent sightings of lights in the sky. In this part, the girl makes some interviews to the nearby inhabitants, being the most relevant the one made to a little girl, who assures that one night she received the visit of a ship directly to her room, where these crew members tried to take her hamster, but when she told them not to do it, they didn't do it. While the girl was talking to the camera trying to come up with theories about how these ships arrived to Earth, a group of 6 lights appeared in the sky. So she got into her car trying to get closer and started to drive down the road, getting close enough to find herself face to face with nothing more and nothing less than a kind of invisible orb, which could only be seen with the infrared light of her camera. The girl sneaks up to this kind of ship, realizing that it seems to be made of a strange organic material, in addition to what she defines as dental threads coming out of the walls. Without thinking that these things could be radioactive, she proceeds to touch them, thus making an important cut on a finger, which proceeded to be immediately healed by spores that emerged from a certain part of the ship, perhaps a kind of extraterrestrial nanotechnology. Hearing something strange, the girl proceeds to hide behind a membrane, realizing that the crew member of said UFO had returned. It is here when she discovers some animals behind a kind of containers, which begin to get filled with a kind of liquid that we assume is to preserve them while the trip reaches light speeds. This intense speed causes the girl's body to disintegrate almost completely, but the regeneration technology heals her, although deforming her a little. The bad thing is that these impulses at the speed of light occur again and again and again, deforming and regenerating the girl so many times that she loses her humanity, not knowing what her fate was, and leaving me with the question of how the recording of her camera returned to Earth. In the final tape, which is the one that carries the story, you can see that an alien visits the owner of a house to put a tremendous probe in his mouth, and after this encounter the guy disappears nowhere to be seen, concluding that he was abducted by these beings, and with this the story ends.